Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're the show that cuts through the noise to get you the essential insights fast. And today, we're doing something really crucial, especially for you, our graduate students tuning in from the Dr. Sam Pack College of Business. We are diving deep into IT service management using the ITIL 4 framework. Specifically, we're tackling ITIL 4 Module 5, Part 1. Think of this as your essential guide to some foundational ITIL service management practices, the real backbone stuff for keeping IT running smoothly and effectively. We're going to unpack 4 core practices: incident management, problem management, change enablement, and service request management. These really drive everything, from the quick fixes to those big strategic system changes. So our mission today, it's pretty clear. By the time we're done, you'll have a solid handle on what each practice is, how it slots into the ITIL service value chain. You'll get the differences between them, see real-world examples, and even apply them in a, realistic scenario. This isn't just about prepping for your ITIL 4 foundation certification. That'll definitely help with that. It's about giving you practical, usable knowledge, stuff you can actually apply. And hey, if you find this useful, please do us a solid like, subscribe, share it around, maybe leave a comment. It really helps us out and helps others find the content. All right, let's dive in. We're talking ITIL 4. It's this flexible framework, but it's also really robust, right? Guides IT service management. And today we're focusing on these foundational practices, things that are just, critical for any organization that uses tech, which is pretty much everyone now.
Exactly. And I think the key thing to get right off the bat is that these aren't like separate boxes. They don't operate in silos. Not at all. They're actually deeply interconnected. They work together as a system, really, to make sure IT is delivering the value consistently. Each one has its own role, sure, but they collaborate. They all feed into that overall service value chain. That's ITIL's model for how IT creates value for the business itself.
Okay, so let's unpack that first one. Incident management. This sounds like what happens when things go wrong unexpectedly, right? When something breaks. How do we handle that chaos?
Yeah, you got it. Incident management is, put simply, the practice of getting IT service back up fast after something unplanned happens, a disruption. Its main goal, according to ITIL 4, is to minimize the negative impact of incidents by restoring normal service operation as quickly as possible. And an incident itself. That's any event that interrupts or reduces the quality of a service. For you guys, as future business leaders, understanding this is huge because downtime costs money. And reputation.
Right, every minute counts. Lost revenue, lost trust. So it's about getting things back online fast. How does that actually, work? What's the typical flow?
It usually starts the second an incident happens or gets detected. Could be a user calling the help desk, or maybe an automated monitoring tool raises an alert. First step, absolutely critical, is logging it. You need to track it, put it in a service desk system, maybe something like Jira or ServiceNow. Lots of places use those. Then it gets categorized, what kind of issue is it? And prioritized, how urgent is it? How big is the impact? That helps the team tackle the biggest fires first.
Okay, makes sense. Prioritization is key. And then someone needs to actually fix it.
Exactly. So first-line support usually takes a first crack at it. Initial diagnosis, maybe a quick fix. If they can't solve it pretty quickly, it gets escalated. Passed up to more specialized teams who have deeper knowledge. The end goal is always resolution. Might be a permanent fix, might just be a workaround to get the service back up for now. Speed is often the driver here.
And you mentioned communication.
Oh, absolutely vital. Keeping the user informed throughout the whole process is key. Letting them know what's happening, when they can expect a fix. That stops frustration boiling over. Once it's resolved and the user confirms, yep, it's working again, then the incident is formally closed. The objectives are really clear. Meet those service level agreements, the SLAs, by restoring service fast. And importantly, gather data that can be used later to figure out how to stop it happening again.
Can you give us an example? Something tangible?
Sure. Let's say the company network goes down.
Yeah.
Middle of the workday. Big problem. The service desk logs it immediately. High priority. They send out notifications. Network outage. We're working on it. It gets escalated straight to the network engineers. They work like mad. Find the issue, restore connectivity. Users confirm they can get back online. Incident closed. Or maybe smaller scale. Someone can't get into their email right before a big client call. That's an incident too. Logged, prioritized. Maybe their account just needs unlocking. Quick fix, user happy. The focus is always speed of restoration.
And where does this fit in the big ITIL picture, the value chain?
It mainly supports deliver and support. That makes sense, right? Keeping the service running for users. And engage, too, because the service desk is often the first point of contact. ITIL 4 also groups it under a category called Monitor, Support, and Fulfill. These are practices focused on that day-to-day reliable service delivery. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Incident management fixes the immediate problem, but problem management, that takes a step back.
Okay. So incident management is the ER doc stopping the bleeding.
Perfect analogy, exactly. Problem management, then, is like the detective work after the patient is stable. It seeks and eliminates the root causes of incidents. Its purpose is more about prevention, to prevent incidents from happening, or at least to minimize the impact of incidents that cannot be prevented. And a problem, in ITIL terms, is that underlying cause, the thing that's causing one or more incidents.
So it's digging deeper. Is there a difference in when this detective work happens? Is it always after an incident?
Good question. It can be both reactive and proactive. Reactive is what you described, looking at incidents after they've happened. Maybe you see the same incident cropping up again and again. You investigate logs, trends, figure out why. But the real magic, honestly, is in proactive problem management. That's about spotting potential issues before they cause major disruption. You might review performance reports, look at incident histories, identify weak spots or worrying trends, and fix them before they blow up.
Okay, that makes a ton of sense. Being proactive sounds way better than constantly firefighting.
It really is. For you as business grads, that's a key takeaway. Proactive problem management, using data to predict and prevent issues. That shifts IT from just fixing things to being a strategic asset. A huge advantage.
So what does this detective work actually involve? What are the activities?
Well, it starts with detecting or logging a problem. Then comes the really crucial part. Root cause analysis. This is where you might use techniques like Pareto analysis, finding the vital few causes creating most of the problems. Or the 5 whys technique, just keep asking why until you get to the fundamental issue, the output, hopefully a permanent fix, or at least a known error record where you document the problem and a workaround if a permanent fix isn't ready yet.
Gotcha. So like if the network keeps going down because of one specific faulty router.
Exactly. Incident management keeps restarting it or rerouting traffic. Problem management identifies that faulty router as the root cause and schedules its replacement. Permanent fix. Or maybe a specific app keeps crashing for multiple users. Incident management gets it running again each time.
Yeah.
Problem management looks at the logs, finds a memory leak in the code, and gets a developer to fix the code itself.
And its place in the value chain. It feels like it feeds improvement.
Absolutely. It's also under that monitor, support, and fulfill banner, like incident management. But its big contribution is driving stability. It feeds directly into the improved activity of the value chain by reducing future incidents. It's about learning and making the whole system stronger, more reliable. That's direct business value right there.
Okay, so we have incident management for the quick fix, problem management for the deep dive, root cause fix. They sound distinct, but how do you make sure people don't confuse them in the heat of the moment?
It's a really common point of confusion. But the key is the primary goal and the timescale. Incident management, immediate restoration, short term. Get service back, NEOW. Workarounds are fine if they're fast. Problem management, root cause analysis and prevention, longer term, strategic. Stop it happening again.
So after a big outage is fixed by incident management.
Problem management should ideally kick in. Review what happened, find out why it happened, and put steps in place so it doesn't happen again. One is about relief, the other is about the cure.
Right, okay. That distinction is clear. Now, here's where it gets really interesting, I think. Especially managing dynamic IT stuff. We've handled the fire, done the investigation. What about making plan changes? How do we evolve systems, add features without, well, breaking everything?
Ah, yes. Change enablement. This used to be called change management. You might hear that term still. Its job is to control all changes to IT services and the purpose, to enable beneficial changes to be made with minimum disruption to IT services.
Okay, enable beneficial changes. So it's not just about stopping bad things, it's about allowing good things to happen safely.
Exactly. And change is defined really broadly. Any addition, modification, or removal of anything affecting services. That could be hardware, software, processes, even documentation.
This feels critical for business agility. Being able to change quickly but safely, that's a competitive edge.
Absolutely. It's a shift in mindset ITIL 4 really pushes. Smart change management or change enablement allows innovation. The process itself is pretty structured. Usually starts with someone submitting a request for change, an RFC. That RFC then gets assessed. What's the risk? What's the potential impact? Often this involves a change advisory board or CAB.
The CAB, I've heard of that, like a review panel.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
Usually as people from different IT areas, maybe even business stakeholders. They review the proposed change, the risks, the plan. Based on that assessment, the change gets approved or rejected. If approved, it's planned, scheduled, implemented, tested, and then reviewed afterwards. Did it work? Did anything go wrong? Lessons learned.
It sounds quite rigorous, but necessary, I guess.
It is. It's about managing risk intelligently. Not avoiding risk altogether because change is necessary for innovation, but doing it in a controlled way.
And ITIL helps by categorizing changes. I remember reading about different types.
Yes, that helps streamline things based on risk and urgency. There are 3 main types. First, standard changes. These are the routine, low-risk ones. They're pre-approved, follow a well-documented procedure. Think like routine server patching that happens every month. No need for a full CAB review every single time because it's standard procedure.
Okay, that makes sense for common stuff. What else?
Then you have normal changes. It's kind of the default category. Any change that isn't standard or emergency falls here. These do require formal assessment and approval, usually by the CAB. Deploying a brand new server, upgrading a major business application, those are typically normal changes. They need planning, scheduling, proper vetting.
And the third type, for when things are really urgent.
Right. Emergency changes. These are high priority, got to do it now changes, usually needed to fix a critical incident or plug a major security hole immediately. They follow a faster, expedited approval process, maybe just need sign-off from 1 or 2 key people because there's no time for a full CAB meeting, like applying a patch for a 0-day vulnerability that's actively being exploited.
Gotcha. Standard, normal, emergency. Different levels of control for different situations. Where does change enablement sit in the value chain? Feels like it's about building and transitioning things.
You nailed it. It primarily supports design and transition and obtain build. It's making sure that new or changed services meet the quality and safety standards before they go live. Fit for purpose, fit for use. ITIL 4 groups it under plan, implement, and control. Makes sense, right?
Yeah. So like upgrading the company's CRM system.
Perfect example. That'd be a normal change. You'd submit an RFC, the CAB would assess the risks, downtime, data migration issues, approve it, schedule it carefully, maybe over a weekend, implement, test, and then review. All controlled.
It's like adding a new wing to a hospital while keeping the existing part running smoothly. Lots of planning needed.
Great analogy. Meticulous planning, risk assessment, communication, absolutely key.
Okay, so we've covered incidents, problems, and plan changes. But what about all the smaller everyday stuff? Users needing access, requesting software, the routine requests.
That's where our 4th practice comes in. Service request management. This is crucial for efficiency and user satisfaction. It handles routine, user-initiated requests for standard services or information. The purpose: to support the agreed quality of a service by handling all predefined, user-initiated service requests in an effective and user-friendly manner.
So keyword here is routine and predefined. These aren't incidents, right? Nothing's broken.
Exactly. A service request isn't signaling a disruption. It's a normal part of using the service. Things like requesting a password reset, getting standard software installed, needing a new mouse, asking for access to a shared drive, setting up a new user account. These are typically repetitive, predictable tasks. They should follow a standard, predefined workflow. And ideally, they're fulfilled quickly, often with a lot of automation.
Automation sounds key there. Keep things moving without tying up specialists. How does the process work?
Usually, the user submits the request, often through a self-service portal or maybe even integrated tools like Microsoft Teams nowadays. It gets logged, categorized. Maybe it needs an approval, like a manager signing off on a software request. That approval step is part of the flow. Then the right team fulfills it. Maybe IT operations provisions hardware or an access management team grants permissions. The user gets updates along the way, and it's closed when done. The big push here is towards self-service and automation wherever possible.
So it's like the efficient counter service at a library or bank. Handles the common stuff quickly so the specialists can focus on harder problems.
Exactly that. Well-managed service requests boost efficiency, make users happier because they get what they need quickly and predictably. It frees up IT staff for more complex work like problem-solving or implementing changes.
And in the value chain.
It sits firmly in deliver and support and engage. It's all about those smooth, ongoing service interactions. And like incident management, it's also under that monitor, support, and fulfill grouping.
A simple example.
Employee needs a new monitor. They go to the IT service portal, fill out a standard request form for approved hardware. Maybe their manager gets an automated approval notification, clicks yes, and the request goes straight to the hardware provisioning team to ship it out. Simple, standard, efficient. Okay, so let's try and tie all this together. It helps to see them interacting. Let's use a fictional company, Techco Inc. Imagine Techco has a few things going on. One, their main customer service system keeps becoming unresponsive. The help desk knows a quick restart of the application server fixes it, so they just keep doing that.
Okay, temporary fix. What else?
Two, because this keeps happening, senior managers are getting worried. They suspect there's a deeper issue causing these repeated failures.
Makes sense. They want a real solution.
Three, separate from that, users are constantly asking for access rights to run specific reports from a business intelligence tool.
Right.
It's a common request.
Right, routine need.
And four, suddenly, a critical security alert comes out. There's a 0-day vulnerability in the operating system of that same customer server. It needs patching immediately. High urgency.
Okay, wow. So a lot happening there, all touching that one system. How do our 4 practices handle this? Let's start with the system going down and the help desk restarting it.
Right. That initial unresponsiveness, that's an incident. The help desk restarting the server to get it working again quickly. That's classic incident management in action. Rapid restoration is the goal.
Got it. Firefighting. Now, the senior staff being worried about the repeated failures and wanting it investigated.
That triggers problem management. The repeated incidents clearly signal an underlying problem. Someone needs to dig into why the server keeps becoming unresponsive. Is it a resource leak, a bad configuration, something else? Find the root cause and propose a permanent fix.
Okay, problem management for the root cause. What about the users asking for report access?
Those are service requests. Requesting access is a standard predefined need. It should go through service request management logged, maybe approved, then fulfilled by the team that manages permissions following a standard process.
Simple enough. And finally, that critical, urgent security patch.
Because it's urgent, high impact, and needs to happen now to fix a major vulnerability, that falls under change enablement as an emergency change. It needs to be assessed and implemented very quickly following the expedited emergency change process.
Perfect. So that one Techco scenario really shows them all working distinctly but together. Incident handles the immediate outage, problem investigates the recurring cause, service request manages the routine access needs, and change enablement controls the urgent patch deployment.
Exactly. You see how they each have a specific focus but are interconnected to manage the whole service lifecycle.
Okay, let's quickly recap then. We've covered 4 absolutely foundational ITIL 4 practices today. First, incident management.
Getting service back up fast after a disruption, minimizing immediate impact.
Then, problem management.
Digging for the root causes of incidents to prevent them from happening again. Proactive and reactive.
We talked about the key difference. Incident is the fast fix. Problem is the long-term cure.
Precisely.
Then we move to change enablement.
Safely managing all changes, additions, modifications, removals to IT services, balancing agility with stability, using standard, normal, and emergency change types.
Enabling beneficial change without causing chaos. And finally, service request management.
Efficiently handling those routine, predefined user requests, password resets, access requests, standard software, keeping users happy and productive with everyday needs.
So taken together, these 4 really are the bedrock, aren't they? For stable, reliable, responsive IT services?
Absolutely. They ensure things get fixed quickly, root causes get addressed, changes happen smoothly, and users get what they need efficiently. From a business standpoint, it means less downtime, more ability to innovate safely, and better productivity all around.
And mastering these really sets the stage for understanding the more advanced ITIL practices later on. It's fundamental stuff, not just for the exam, but for actually working effectively in or managing IT-dependent functions.
Couldn't agree more. This is the practical foundation.
Okay, before we sign off, we'd love to get your thoughts. Thinking about these 4 incident, problem, change enablement, service request management, which one do you think is the most important for maintaining high-quality IT services? And why? Let us know what you think. Drop a comment below. We're really interested to hear different perspectives on this. And that brings us to the end of this deep dive. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you found this helpful, please remember to hit like, subscribe for more, share it with anyone else studying ITIL or working in IT, and definitely leave us that comment. Your engagement really helps. We'll be back soon with more insights into the world of IT service management. Until next time, thanks for listening.